gentlemen's countrymen. Hey, yay, hey, yay, punks and skins and journeymen. Hey, yay, hey, yay, my sisters and my brethren, the time is coming near. Come, yay.
Hey folks, Florida Rider here, coming to you from my place in Gainesville, Florida. I'm leaving for the Northeast Florida hang in October. It's about 2:30 in the morning because I just got off of work. This is the bike here behind me. I'm going to hit the road and get going. I'll see you up there. Y'all take care. Hey you folks, Florida Rider here. I'm coming to you from the Hennessy out here at the Black Creek Ravines Water Conservation Area, just outside of Middleburg, Florida. It's been a wonderful day to spend the day in the hammock. It's in the upper 60s, it's been raining all day, it's been blowing all day. I spent 23 hours awake in a row on the way up here, 5 hours of which were on the bike coming up from Gainesville. There ain't nothing like laying in the hammock after a long, hard day like that. Tomorrow is supposed to be more of the same. I think I might go hiking for a bit, see what the trails look like here. The ravines themselves aren't really all that impressive as far as ravines go, but this is Florida. It's a heck of an elevation change for Florida. Anyway, Florida Rider signing off for now. I'll get back to you folks later. Hey you folks, it's the end of day one out here at the Black Creek Ravine Water Conservation Area. It's raining again, it's blowing again. I'm going to call it an evening. There's nothing like falling asleep to the sound of rain on a tarp. Y'all take care. Morning folks. It's the beginning of day two here at the Black Creek Water Conservation Area here outside of Middleburg, Florida. About to do breakfast on my DIY hobo stove, and I was going to show you all how I do that. Here we go. The stove is a lot like a bush buddy in the way that you load it. It lacks the extra gasification chamber, so it's smokier and it doesn't get quite as hot, but anybody can build this with a pair of tin snips and a church key can opener. Imagine you could use a drill as well. What you do is you take a bunch of tiny twigs and you pack them in there in the center, and then you lay a bunch of little twigs, largest being about as big as your little finger, around the outside. You then put a fire starter in the middle of that and lay some more little twigs on top. I'll demonstrate here in just a moment. The wood's really damp today, so it's going to be smoky as all get out, but since I'm cooking both some coffee for myself and some oatmeal this morning, I figured I'd save on the alcohol for my DIY alcohol stove, which this actually doubles as is a windscreen and a pot stand. I'll show you that in just a moment. As you can see, there's quite a bit of smoke out of it. That's why I'm not doing it next to the hammock. I'm afraid of flying embers. But this should work just fine as far as actually getting a fire going in here. Used a Vaseline-soaked cotton ball as a fire starter and my fire steel to get it started. Wanted to see if I could. Never tried to use fire steel before. Works like a charm, long as you have dry, well-lit material, or easy-to-light material is the term that I'm looking for, my apologies. Anyway, you've seen enough of these to know how this is going to go, and I will show you the finished product here in a moment. There are two features that make this stove unique. One of them is the fire port at the bottom where you can add more fuel, and one of them is the fact that it fits a Heineken pot can perfectly. I don't know if you can see that at this level of detail with all that smoke, but the inside lip on that is actually holding the Heineken can with no alteration whatsoever. Anyway, I'm going to let this boil and get breakfast together, and I'll be back. Well, it's taken longer than usual to boil, but I'm assuming that's the wet wood. Normally I get about 12-minute boil times out of this, and with building the fire and everything, it's just getting bubbles, and I'm on about 25 minutes. Heck of a fire. Anyway, I guess I'll go with alcohol for the rest of the weekend unless the weather stays clear. Well, doesn't rain anyway. Let's see how this goes. Because I don't feel like building the fire back up with wet wood and going through that whole ordeal again, I'm going to go ahead and do my coffee with my penny alcohol stove. The same hobo stove acts as a priming pan and windscreen and pot stand when I use the penny alcohol stove. The only difference is I needed to add an adapter to it so that the stove would sit just a little bit higher and closer to the bottom of the pot. Anyway, I'm going to get this going and I'll show you what it looks like when it's going. Here we are with the penny alcohol stove going with the windscreen, pot stand, primer pan combination underneath the hiney pot there. I should have a boil here in about 6 or 7 minutes. Let's see how she does. There isn't anything like breakfast on the trail. Got me some trail coffee here, which is instant coffee and some cocoa mix mixed together. I've got some oatmeal here that I have cozied and cooked up. Some honey to go in there. Thank you, Smoke Eater, for the idea of using the straws for it, using heat sealing them at the end. And some bacon that I cozied with the oatmeal to heat it up. I'm gonna get me some fine eating here, and I'll get back to you folks later. Florida Ratter here, folks, doing the Black Creek Ravines Water Conservation Area. This is day 2 out here near Middleburg, Florida. Going for a day hike today. I'm going to see what the trails offer hereabouts. It's finally cleared up some, and it looks to stay that way at least until nightfall. They're calling for some thunderstorms and abouts. Got my day pack all together. I'll go through my kit with you a little bit later, and we'll see what I see. Signing off. Rather large sections of the trail are completely underwater out here. I'm really glad I decided to hike in sandals. It means that my shoes will be dry here in about 15 minutes, regardless of whether or not I have to hike through this. And I don't have to carry any camp shoes to go along with. Alright, let's see if I can make it through this bramble without falling. This is what I'm trying to hike through right now. All right, here we go. You know, it really is amazing how much a little elevation change can make of a difference. I've climbed maybe 30 feet above where I was earlier, and look at the trail now. Bone dry. That's what the water table here in Florida is like. Most of Florida sits maybe 5 or 6 feet above the water table, so as soon as you get 20 or 30 feet of elevation, it gets completely dry. Hiking in Florida. Well, folks, despite my best efforts, I was unable to find the creek overlook. It seems that there are 2 sets of red trails back there, and they're not very well marked as to what's where. So, what I'm going to do is hike the yellow loop and then head back towards camp and do dinner. I'm going to have lunch right here, got myself some Pop-Tarts. It's going to be wonderful. Talk to you later. Well, I promised a video on the contents of my day pack. Here we go. Starting at the left here, you have the pack itself. That's an Outdoor Products Arrowhead 8.0. It's 40 liters. The only thing that I don't like about it is it doesn't have any hip pockets or load lifters, which makes it great for an ultralight pack, but not so great as a full pack. However, it had the capacity that I needed, and it rides well when I'm riding my bike. Then you have the Katadyn water filter. That's a Hiker Pro there, along with the clean hose in its own plastic bag. A USGI issue poncho. I like a poncho because I hike here in Florida. It's warm out. This allows better ventilation. It goes over the pack, it goes over me. And the GI version, while not breathable in the same way that the Dry Dux is, and heavier than the Dry Dux version, is much more durable. I'm fairly hard on my outer gear, so I tend to buy stuff that lasts forever. I have a 3-liter Camelback there. Fairly standard stuff. The only difference that I've done to it is I've added the HydroLink so that I can plug my Katadyn right in and fill it up straight from the water. I've got my emergency kit. This stays on my person in my pocket all of the time. Got a printed map and a compass, Vaseline soaked cotton balls in an old snuff can that I was donated from a friend of mine, some iodine tablets in case the water filter goes out,
a fire steel for making fire, a whistle, and some single application bug protection stuff. It's Ultrathon. Then we have my El Cheapo folding lock knife from Wally World. I could spend on a more expensive knife. This one's done right by me. It was $1 and I'm not worried about breaking it. My bathroom kit, hand sanitizer, and a field strip toilet paper roll that pulls from the center, along with some duct tape in case I need it for repairs. My repair and first aid kit, got some spray neosporin, an ace bandage, some super glue, a couple of gauze pads, some meds. I've got some Imodium, some Benadryl, and some ibuprofen in there. A couple of safety pins, and some tweezers, and a needle all stuck into a piece of duct tape so it doesn't puncture the bag. Some matches in a waterproof container just in case. Then I've got my trusty bandana and a paperback that I've been reading. And that's the contents of my day hike pack, minus some Pop-Tarts and a protein bar that I already ate and stuffed back into the pack. And I'm going to continue on through the yellow loop here. I'm headed back towards camp. Y'all take care. Well folks, it's Tuesday morning. It's time to get going. Time to get up on the bike and start heading back towards Gainesville. It's been a great trip. I had a lot of fun. Miss my wife. I'll talk to you guys later.
Falling J